Now, our final story tonight is about sex ed. The reason why you'll never look at cucumbers the same way again. Now, sex ed teaches the students the basics about sex, like how to obtain consent, how to use a condom, and not to cry and apologise after it's over. But one area that sex ed fails to uniformly address is teaching students about sexuality. Last year, a review was undertaken of our national curriculum, and there was hope that this would lead to more inclusive education for LGBT students. But it didn't. The two men who conducted the review were Kevin Donnelly and Kenneth Wiltshire, who, when wearing top hats, both look a lot like the Penguin from Batman. Now, like the top hat, the views of Kenneth Wiltshire and Kevin Donnelly on education belong in the 19th century. For example, here is Kevin Donnelly's view on bringing back corporal punishment.
What would you describe as the best punishment?
We had a Scottish phys ed teacher, and whenever there was any discipline problems, he would actually take the boy behind the shed and say, well, we can either talk about this or you can throw the first punch.
His Scottish PE teacher would tell kids to throw the first punch. Did he go to fight school? I can't believe he mentioned it on the radio. I mean, the first thing you learn at fight school isn't that you do not talk about fight school. So what did Kevin Donnelly think of his teacher's approach to discipline?
You know, that teacher would probably lose his job now, but it was very effective. I mean, he only had to do it once and the kids were pretty well behaved for the rest of the year.
I'm sure they behaved. It's hard to disrupt the class when you're knocked out behind the shed. In 2004, Kevin Donnelly wrote a book in which he suggested that only heterosexual teachers should teach students sex ed because many parents would consider the sexual practices of LGBT people as decidedly unnatural, as opposed to getting beaten up behind a shed by a Scottish man. But after reviewing the national curriculum for 7 months, Donnelly and Wiltshire discovered that teachers lack the training they need to teach students about sexuality. They also found that there is a youth student crisis because some schools fail or refuse to allow students to discuss sexuality. But after realising the magnitude of this problem, all they recommended was that schools should have greater flexibility to decide whether or not they teach students about LGBT sexuality. Young people are killing themselves, and all they recommended was that schools should have greater flexibility. That's not the review you give to a crisis. That's a review you give to a gymnast who can't do the splits. Not only is there no uniform approach to teaching sexuality in schools, when schools take it upon themselves to do so, they come under fire. Earlier this year, Burwood Girls High in New South Wales wanted to screen the movie Gayby Baby.
The film follows 4 kids that happen to have gay parents as they wrestle with the challenges of adolescence and whether or not kids like them are at any risk of doing it tough because they don't fit that traditional nuclear family mould.
The movie was to be screened on Wear It Purple Day, which is a day that combats bullying and stigma towards LGBT students. But the New South Wales Education Minister cancelled the movie screening.
This is not part of the curriculum or syllabus. Those types of political campaigns aren't allowed generally in schools.
Guys, tolerance is not in the school curriculum, all right? I mean, we only teach kids important stuff like algebra and trigonometry, you know, the stuff they use in everyday life. And now the next day, the Daily Telegraph did what nobody wanted. They weighed into the debate.
Today they published this front page article along with this cartoon, arguing that children in their most impressionable years were being brainwashed.
Yeah, how dare people be told what to think? The response from some Christian conservatives was even more confusing. Here is Presbyterian Minister Mark Powell.
Mark, can we start with you? What are your objections to this film being shown to high school kids?
Mate, it's not so much the objections, Ray. This is the victimisation and the intimidation of young, vulnerable people in our schools.
The straight students are being victimised and intimidated? For the first time ever, the only person who can sum up my response is this person.
Please explain.
Mark, how are straight students being victimised?
This is the really thing. We've got all these girls in tears coming to us and saying they feel victimised. Like, if they don't participate in this, they're basically ostracised from their peers, and
This is the really thing, guys, okay? Straight kids are being ostracised for not ostracising the gay kids.
Please explain.
Look, Mark then goes on to explain how heaps of students were victimised by the movie, and here is his definition of heaps.
Well, heaps in terms of more than students in Burwood Girls that
Heaps in terms of more than students in Burwood Girls. Even Yoda must be thinking, those words, in order, are not. I don't know what school Mark Powell went to, but they spent more time teaching intolerance than grammar. But Mark finished isn't yet. He then goes on to explain how children were forced to support the gay agenda.
The original email that went out said all students will attend and they will wear certain clothes, they will eat purple cupcakes.
They were forced to eat purple cupcakes. That is how tyranny starts, you know. One moment we're eating cupcakes, next thing you know, we're all gay. That's how it works. Hey, did you hear about Billy? He had a couple of purple cupcakes and now he's the drama captain. Look, does Mark Powell even know what he's talking about?
Just to be clear, so have you seen the film?
No, I haven't.
Hey, look, you don't have to always see a film to know what it's about. I haven't seen Fight School, but I know that it's about a Scottish man beating up Kevin Donnelly, so... In Mark's defence, he just wants both sides of the debate to be expressed.
Why don't we show the film in 1 hour and then show an alternative view in the next hour?
Exactly, we should show Gayby Baby in 1 hour to teach students about gay relationships, and then the next hour we should teach them about straight relationships by showing them American Pie. But Mark sums up his argument perfectly.
It is. Clearly it is. It's a political ideology that's being enforced onto our children. Now,
exactly. We should never enforce an ideology on our children, said the Presbyterian minister. Now, given the importance of sex ed, we need a national curriculum that allows students to learn about different sexualities. Last year's curriculum review was a missed opportunity. Teaching students tolerance is not political. It's a core function of education.